Howdy. I'm here to look with you at the assignment for the first essay. And where we find the assignment for the first essay in any of my three classes, click on Content. Remember, we always start there. Go to Writing Lab 1. Each writing lab has its own specific assignment. In this particular writing lab, you'll see the links to videos and a list of concepts that I posted earlier. You'll see where we're discussing concepts, some review guidelines that we'll use when we review drafts and revisions. You'll see where we'll review those drafts and revisions. Final reflection you'll write at the end of this unit. And then here's the assignment for the concept essay. Let me see if I can make that a little bigger. Make that side thing go away. And good. So the first essay of the course is an essay about concepts. And what I mean by this is an essay in which you are going to explain a concept or a couple of concepts and even reflect on what does a concept do. So the short version of the assignment, this is the first paragraph, is to write a 4-page essay. I'm assuming by now you've done that before. In English 101 or English 100A or 099, you have written a 4-page essay before. Maybe you even did that in high school. So a 4-page essay, I figure, is something that you've tackled before, but you may not have written a 4-page essay about a concept or related concepts. So the purpose of this essay is to, one, explain one or more of the concepts that interest you, right? So this is one of your tasks, to explain and to demonstrate the value of that concept or concepts or a potential problem with that, right? And so the reason we're looking at Nietzsche and Engels and MJ is they both explain concepts, particular concepts, but also concepts in general. And they also demonstrate why particular concepts are valuable or why there might be problems with them, right? So those are your two tasks in this essay: explain and demonstrate. And we're doing this in relation to issues that are raised by our readings and discussion. And in the discussion for the course so far, even in this between the first and second class, you all are already starting to raise issues, and we'll be talking about that in the second class. Right? Issues are just things that we talk about, things that we may even argue about or have differences about. So you want to choose one of the options that I give below. And one of the things you want to do, and this is true no matter what you decide to focus on, you're going to want to engage the tension, right? To discuss the tension between Nietzsche and Engels. And so as we'll be discussing in class, as we'll be working on all through this writing lab, there is a disagreement represented by Nietzsche and Engels about concepts, the value of concepts or potential problems with concepts. And so that tension, that difference, that disagreement is something you're going to want to let into your essay and reflect upon in your essay. You're going to want to make sure that you also elaborate your points for a reader. To elaborate is to work up. See the word labor in there. To work on, to develop, to build, to explain, to demonstrate. Right? So to elaborate is to really take some time with, to risk repeating yourself in order to explain things for a reader. Not only for yourself, although I think that's important, but we're also going to want to explain things to a reader. When we look at editing, we'll think about complete sentences, paragraphs that have a purpose. Every paragraph should have a reason for being a paragraph, and an overall well-organized, developed, and carefully edited essay. And you have the option of using MLA or APA. I would say for this first essay, use what you're already familiar with, and we'll begin discussing both. This will matter more later. Now, the full version of the assignment is below, and I'd like you to look carefully at it. I'm just going to very briefly touch on each of the options that you have. I like to give options because it gives you some flexibility and choice, but also I like to give reasonable options so that you don't try to take on too much or too little. And so there's 4 basic options that I've been able to think of here. Maybe you'll think of a 5th one. The first is to choose one of the concepts that you or someone else in the class has introduced to the course, right? So let's say you brought in a concept from psychology, the concept of appearance and how appearance is different from reality. We know that Engels and Nietzsche are going to think both about appearance, how things appear to our senses, the reality, what's out there beyond our senses that we can get a glimpse of, but also What are the concepts that we use to try to understand that reality in ways that might even fit with our senses or might even go against our senses? So you want to choose, and it could be one concept. You could really take the time to really think about a concept like appearance through a whole essay. You're going to think of your own examples. You can discuss the examples that Nietzsche and Engels give, or that MJ gives, or that others in the class use. The second option is to pick up on two concepts that are important concepts for those of us thinking about science, social science, issues of climate change, COVID-19. And these have to do with the two concepts that I've listed here, pseudoscience or Anthropocene. Now, maybe you're familiar with these, maybe you're not. If you're familiar with them, maybe this is something you want to work on. If you're not familiar with these, maybe you want to try them out, or maybe you think, I'd rather work on something I'm familiar with. So again, if in this case, I'm choosing concepts, still, how do Nietzsche and Engels help us to think about the value of one or the other of these concepts? The third option would be to analyze a rhetorical concept, such as those that Aristotle, the rhetorical triangle that we'll be talking about through the course, Rogers, or Toulmin. Again, these are all readings in the rhetoric folder. What are those concepts? And then how might Nietzsche and Engels support those concepts, challenge those concepts, question those concepts, evaluate those concepts, etc. Right? I would suggest you focus on one or more of these concepts, but not to pick too many, and to think about some issue, like why look at the concepts that you choose to look at. For example, a number of you have mentioned the difference between objective logical analysis and more emotional personal opinion interpretation. So maybe that's the difference between logos and pathos, or logos and ethos, if we think about Aristotle. The fourth concept that we have, or the fourth option that we have here, would be if you like philosophy, you might ask me about this, what I'm calling a meta option, and that could simply be an essay on the concept of concepts. Again, I have some students in the past who really like philosophy and want to think about what is a concept of concepts. How is Nietzsche's concept of concepts different from Engels' concept of concepts? If that kind of thing drives you crazy, maybe you don't want to do that. But MJ, whose short essay we have in the class, she chose this option. Right? So those are four options I could think of. Perhaps you'll think of an alternative. But whatever you choose, and I'll wrap up with this. This is a thesis-based essay of 4 pages, about 1,000 words, not counting a references page. You don't need a title page, but you will want a title and give it a heading. And we are going to go through a process of drafting, revision, editing, and the overall review process. And in the note I send on Sunday the 20th, I explain what is drafting, what is revising, what is editing, what is review. And so you want to attend very closely to what I say there, and we should discuss it in class this week and next week. Right? There's other technical instructions here about submitting it, but I'm hoping that this is a start for you to think about the essay. And this week, after our Tuesday class, you're going to want to start thinking about what you're going to commit to for this essay. I've posted a schedule of due dates in that Sunday post on the 20th that you should take a look at. All right, I'll see you in class.